Hey guys, this is going to be a comprehensive guide to training for club rugby. As much as we would all like to think that we're professional athletes, unfortunately we're weekend warriors that play the game that we love and probably pay to do so willingly, and more than likely have some deep-rooted mental issues as well. With that being said, let's dive in. My name is Ben. I've been playing club rugby for a while. I play back row and I play hooker, okay? I am an average rugby player at best. I have been able to compete at an average to above average level, well above, honestly, the capabilities of my body, my size, all that kind of stuff, athletic abilities, primarily because of training. But before we go any further into this video, this is a perfect time to offer a disclaimer, if you will. Training alone will not make you a better rugby player. It will not fix your frying pans for hands. Yes, I'm looking at you back. Stop knocking the ball on. It will not fix your ability to tackle like you're, Ken in a Barbie episode or something like that. It will not fix your ability to carry hard. Those are things that you need to go to practice for.
Good. Oh, intense. Wait. Up.
Listen to your coaches, show up, and try to get better at the game of rugby. That will give you the biggest return on investment, far more than anything else that we discuss in this video. I feel that goes without saying, but there are certain people out there that are going to watch this and think, well, if I squat or deadlift, it'll help me. No. Rugby helps with rugby. The first thing we are going to do as the spectacular club rugby players that we are, that care about training, is we are going to make somewhat of a needs analysis, okay? This needs analysis does not need to be anything complex whatsoever. Really all it is what position do I play, okay? So in club rugby, as we all know, it's not like the pros or anything like that where you are the number 7. That's your jersey every game. No. Sometimes, if you're a forward, you're going to have to lock. You're going to have to prop. You're going to have to play hooker. You're going to have to play back row. All kinds of stuff. So get a general idea of the positions that you will play. Once we have that down, okay, the training plan itself is going to look the same as far as the stuff we do for backs or forwards, but we're going to bias certain traits more so than others, dependent on the position we play. For example, right, I am a scrum half. I need to run the equivalent of like a 5K every single time we go play, okay? Your conditioning is going to look a lot different than a prop forward, okay? Let's say our needs analysis is complete, okay? Assuming that we have some good tools in our toolbox as a rugby player who has been showing up to practice, listening to coaches, listening to veterans on the team, getting better at rugby. Now it's finally time to start talking about training for rugby, okay? So with that being said, I have 5 pillars that I feel are critical to training for club rugby. They are as follows. Conditioning. Power/speed. Strength. Mobility, which is a lot different than flexibility. And positional specific traits. Conditioning is something that none of us actually want to do unless you're absolutely mentally sick, which, as I said, we're playing rugby, so we probably are mentally sick, but you got to be like really mentally sick to willingly want to make yourself vomit, right? So conditioning for the sport of rugby is not as complex as people want to make it, right? It's basically getting yourself to a heart rate zone and lack of oxygen to the point of wanting to vomit for as long as possible, as many times as possible. Now, how do we do that? We have tons of different options to condition. With the first one being tempo runs. That's probably going to be your biggest return on investment for the sport of rugby is your tempo runs, right? So what's the big conditioning metric that they test out in the big leagues? The Bronco, right? We all know about that. We all know how bad that sucks, okay? Moving out of that, let's say you're somebody that absolutely hates running like myself. You can do high intensity interval training. You can do Tabata. You can do circuits. You can do all kinds of different things, right? To simulate what happens in a game where we have a sprint. We run into a breakdown. We get blasted out of the ruck. We got to get back up on our feet and help make a tackle, then roll away. And you're gassed out. You're begging for there to be a stoppage of play, and sometimes there's just not. So how do we replicate that in the gym? We kill ourselves, okay? We make the training and the conditioning so hard that if you're in a public gym, people are going to be like, they're going to leave. They're going to look at you and they're going to automatically assume, again, like this all goes back to we all have mental problems to play this sport. But you know what I'm saying, okay? Make the conditioning hard. The second pillar for training for club rugby would be power/speed. Now, why am I including both of those two things together, right? Because the exercises that we're going to do are going to build upon both of those traits. These exercises are as follows: sprinting, Olympic weightlift variations, jumping. You might not want to Olympic lift. You might not know how to Olympic lift, right? But there are many, many variations and derivatives of the classic Olympic lifts. We're not Olympic lifters, we're rugby players. So I don't expect you to be doing full clean and jerks, full snatches, anything like that. But learning how to do a power clean, even if it's with suboptimal form, is going to have tremendous carryover to your game. Trust me, I know. A push press, same thing, right? A jerk of any kind, same thing, right? So learn how to do those movements, right? And I'm not going to teach you how to do them in this video, right? Because quite frankly, I'm not proficient enough myself at all of them to be like an authority figure in them. I'm pretty good at cleans and push presses. That's kind of what I've stuck with. But there are tons and tons of resources out there to help you get better at Olympic lifts. And if you really care, shell out that money. Look at USA Weightlifting and get yourself a coach, even if it's for like 3 to 4 months. Work with him or her once a week. They can help you get you where you need to be. You're an athlete, right? So the barbell is not some scary thing. It's not like a 400-pound prop running straight at your face, So that being said, when we get out of the Olympic lifts, okay, sprinting, obviously, of any kind. How do we get better at sprinting? We sprint. Right? We all know what sprinting is. We do many max effort sprints in a game and a practice, this kind of thing. Just go do more of those. Now, this is not conditioning type of sprinting now. This is, we run a sprint at full speed, we walk back, we catch our breath, and we do it again and again and again because we're trying to get faster here. We're not in the mode of conditioning and puking and that kind of stuff. We're in the mode of trying to get as fast as possible. Jumping would be the third and final speed/power exercise that I would say every rugby player should be doing. And I mean every kind of jumping possible. Right? Box jumps, broad jumps, vertical jumps, hurdle hops, all kinds of different jumps. You can't do enough of them, right? They're going to have tremendous return on investment for backs. They're going to have tremendous return on investments for forwards, right? So everybody needs to jump. You might be surprised to hear me say strength is actually number 3 on my list of pillars, right? Some of you guys are strength purists and would say, you know, just getting stronger at all costs is going to be the biggest return on investment. And that's just not the case, unfortunately, in rugby. All of us, including myself, have experienced scenarios where we've been blown off the ball in contact, right? In any type of contact setting by somebody who says, yeah, dude, all I do is I lift beers to my face and I go to the buffet. So, right, it's not some magical thing that's going to make you the biggest, the baddest, or anything like that on the field of play, but strength is important. Why is strength important? Because we take this well-conditioned, powerful, fast athlete, we're going down the list here, and we add stupid amounts of strength in basic compound movement patterns. Now we have somebody that you don't want to tackle. You don't want to go in a scrum against. You don't want to run full speed into the breakdown because you're going to get embarrassed, right, by this person. We've all experienced that before. And the strength is going to be that driving factor. How do we get strong for the sport of rugby, right? Is it carrying weighted stones up mountains and sandbags and log? No, man, no. The move for us is going to be our basic compound movement patterns. What are these? Hinging, squatting, horizontal and vertical pressing, horizontal and vertical pulling. We cannot get strong enough in any of this stuff, okay? If we learn how to periodize and run sensible programming in progressive overload, these movement patterns, there's infinite possibilities and we can't get strong enough. I'm not a huge fan of cookie cutter strength standards, but if I was going to give you some sort of standards, it would be as follows. In the squat, we want to be able to squat 1.8 times body weight, okay? In the deadlift, we want to deadlift 2 times our body weight. In the bench press, 1.4 times body weight. In the overhead press with a barbell, 0.9 times body weight. In the pull-ups, I'm going to make it super simple and just say 5 body weight pull-ups. In the rows, okay, Penlay rows is pretty much my golden standard for rugby players, right, for any sort of rowing movement. That will be 0.9 times body weight for reps. So reps meaning like sets of 6+ on that. Now, again, if you're a strength purist, you're going to be like, yo, that's weak sauce, brother, you bunch of pussies. Not really, dude. So we're talking about people that, right, play rugby. That's the thing, is playing rugby is the number one thing. You might be coming from a completely untrained background, like you don't lift weights. So if you can even get remotely close to some of this stuff with good form in these movements, it's going to have a huge return on investment for your game, I promise. The fourth pillar that we are going to talk about in training for club rugby is mobility. This is not flexibility. This is not our yoga class where we're dropping into the splits and, you know, we can touch the heels to the back of our head and this kind of thing. You'll get folded out there, right? We want mobility. What is the best way to get mobility? It is to do our strength/speed/power movements through a full range of motion. Now, This might be burning some of your ears, right? I can't do that. I can't do a deep squat. We can strip all the weight off, right? Take all the implements away and just use our body weight for something like a squat, right? The squat done to an ATG standard, ass to grass standard, is probably going to be our best way to get functional lower body mobility for a rugby player. You don't believe me? You've probably never played the sport, right? If you have played the sport, you know the knee goes over the toe very, very often when we're tackling, right? When we're bracing for contact as a carrier, right? Any type of contact scenario, it really behooves us to be able to drop our center of mass low and fast and then explode through that contact as hard as possible, right? That requires mobility. Our shoulders require mobility, not flexibility. Then we're separating our AC joint, our SC joint all the time, right? But mobility, so super strong overhead position, this kind of stuff, those are strong, mobile shoulders, okay? So mobility can best be achieved by doing our compound movements through a full range of motion. Our fifth and final pillar here is honestly optional, okay? So positional specific metrics, okay? We have gone through everything that's general now, okay? We can come up with special exercises for each position. I'm going to give you an example of a special exercise that I use that is specific to playing hooker, okay? I feel it's a very, very good movement. The big disclaimer that I'm going to give for this concept in general is we go all the way back to the beginning. This is not teaching me how to scrummage. This is not teaching me how to play the position of hooker. This is me understanding the demands of a scrum and playing a front row position and how much it taxes your neck, your traps, your shoulders, all that kind of stuff. And it was something that I came up with. This does not take the place of full range of motion squats. This does not take the place of deadlifting or anything of that nature. It is a unique exercise, right, that I actually learned from somebody else that doesn't play rugby, right? Funny enough. But I thought, man, this is super specific, man, especially for scrums. So I'm gonna show you guys this exercise, and I'm going to tell you that this type of thing can be applied to every single position out there. And it's not rocket science, okay? We go back to our needs analysis. I'm a scrum half, I'm a fly half, I'm a center, I'm a prop, I'm a lock. What are the demands within a game of rugby that my position calls for? After everything else is said and done, with our conditioning, our power/speed, our strength, our mobility, all that kind of stuff, what are some nifty ways that we, as the, club ruggers that we are, outside of practice, can come up with even more ways to make our game within our position a little bit better? We can come up with these unique special exercises. But like I said, this is optional. This is if you have the time to do it, okay? And this is after everything else that's actually way more important is done. So what I really hate seeing, and this goes outside of the sport of rugby, when I watch anybody training for any sport, is people neglecting the basics, basically majoring in the minors and doing banded weird things, because they're like, this is what happens in a tackle and everything like that. Well, that's what sporting practice is for. This is just a little bit of icing, a little bit of the cherry on top. Now that we have gotten through all that, I'm going to very briefly go over how I lay out a year of training as a club rugby player, okay? I use something called block periodization, okay? Within the lenses of block periodization, however, I still train concurrently at all times. So I'm always jumping, I'm always sprinting, I'm always doing strength stuff, and I'm always doing power stuff. I'm going to show you in this diagram how I go about the sevens, the preseason, and the season itself. Something for you to look at, not something you have to do. It's just something that's worked for me over the years. If you've made it to this point in the video, I genuinely say thank you. And if you're somebody that plays club rugby like myself, know that you have my respect, deepest respect and admiration, because I know the rigors of the sport, and I also know that you know how to have a really good time in life. So, if you have any questions, concerns, or just have anything to say, it would mean the world to me if you left a comment. Like and subscribe to my channel. I post training. I got some rugby stuff in there. I got some nutritional stuff in there as well. Yeah, anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.